In this video, for foreigners who want to work in Japan, I'm gonna show you 7 answers that can make you fail in job interviews. Plus, I'll share tips that work even for top jobs in Japan, like GAFAM, Big Four, major trading companies, top financial firms. So, let's get started. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Kazu. I help foreigners who want to work in Japan. First, here are the 7 questions we covered today. Let's go through them one by one. The first question often asked is, why do you want to work in Japan? In Japan, it's usually asked as, 日本で働きたい理由は何ですか? The purpose of this question is to gauge how long you intend to stay with the company. Companies believe that candidates with a strong desire to work in Japan are more likely to persevere through tough times without quitting. Therefore, responses that fail to convey a long-term commitment are seen as inadequate. For example, a vague answer like, I love Japan might not be sufficient. A better approach would be to share a unique personal story that shows your specific reasons. The more details, the better. For instance, I want to create and share Japanese anime visuals with the world. I have been watching Japanese anime since I was very young and have grown passionate about spreading this fascinating culture globally. That's why I am studying information engineering at the university in Japan. How does that sound? This response, with its detailed personal story and proactive steps like studying in Japan, is likely to make a positive impression on the interviewer. The second question is, tell me about yourself. In Japanese, it's usually asked as 自己紹介をお願いします. One big mistake here is giving an answer that's either too long or too short. Even though it's a job interview, it's still a form of conversation. So ideally, your self-introduction should be 30 to 60 seconds. So what should you include in your self-introduction? Keep it simple and structured. For example, start with your name, then mention where you are currently studying or working. If you have any job experience, just briefly say what kind of work you've done and finish with a short line like, it's a pleasure to speak with you today. That's more than enough. If the interviewer wants to know more, they'll ask follow-up questions. Here's one powerful way to stand out from other candidates. Use your self-introduction to steer the entire interview by including a few interesting points that naturally invite the questions. You can guide the interviewers toward topics you've already prepared for. This increases the chance that you'll get to talk about things you've practiced, which means more confidence and stronger answers. This is another common question, and it's usually asked as, どのくらいの期間日本語を勉強していますか? What the interviewer really wants to know is, how much do you understand Japanese language and culture? And what motivates you to learn it? There is no real wrong answers here, so just be honest. But if you want to give a stronger answer, I recommend briefly sharing why you started studying Japanese. Here's a good example. I've been studying Japanese for 5 years. I started learning on my own because I wanted to understand anime in the original language. This kind of answer makes it easy to connect your personal interest with your career goals, like contributing to anime production and helping share Japanese culture with the world. No matter what the question is, it's always powerful to express what drives you. That helps the interviewer understand who you really are, and it makes you more memorable as a candidate. How long do you want to work in Japan? In Japanese, this is usually asked as どれくらいの期間日本で働きたいですか? And honestly, this is one of the most common questions. It comes up in almost every interview. Now, why do companies ask this? It's simple. They want to know how long you are planning to stay with the company. Hiring someone costs a lot. Job ads, interviews, onboarding, all of it takes time and money. So if you say something that makes them think you'll leave soon, that's a red flag. For example, this kind of answer might hurt your chances. If I join your company, I'd like to learn practical skills for 3 years, then go back to my country and start a business. Even if that's your long-term dream, this makes it sound like you are planning to quit from the beginning, which is risky from the point of the company's view. Instead, it's better to show you are motivated to work in Japan for a long time. Something like this works much better. I'd like to work in Japan for as long as possible. I want to contribute to the development of anime production technology and also gain management experience so I can support the team and help the company grow. This kind of answer shows you are committed, willing to grow, and ready to contribute for the long run. And that's exactly what the companies want to hear. Next up is the classic question. What's your weakness? In Japanese, あなたの弱みは何ですか? The real purpose of this question is to understand your personality and abilities and to see if you are a good fit for the position. So what's a bad answer? It's giving a too serious or too risky weakness, something that might make the interviewer worry about your ability to do the job. For example, if you say, when I get nervous, my mind goes blank and I can't move or speak, the interviewer might think, what happens when this person needs to speak with a client? And that could hurt your chances of moving forward. So what should you do instead? Share a weakness that's manageable and realistic, and then show what you are doing to improve it. Here's a better example. One of my weaknesses is that I sometimes get too focused on one task. I care a lot about quality, but there was a time when I missed the deadline because of it. Since then, I've been working on setting clear priorities and sticking to them. This kind of answer shows self-awareness, responsibility, and a willingness to grow, which is exactly what the interviewer likes to hear. The next question is, how do others describe you? In Japanese, 他の人からあなたはどんな人だと言われますか? This question is used to understand your personality and see if you are a good fit for the role. There are two main things you should avoid here. First, don't mention anything too negative. This is actually a chance to highlight your strength. So it'll be a waste to say something like, people say I'm a gloomy person. That kind of answer doesn't help you. Second, avoid giving an answer that's inconsistent with what you've said earlier. For example, if you've already said your strengths are analytical thinking and a willingness to take on challenges, but then answer this question with, people say I have ambition. It's not terrible, but it doesn't align well with what you just said. To make a strong impression, pick a trait that matches the rest of your answers. Consistency shows that you know yourself well, and that makes you more trustworthy in the eyes of the interviewer. Last but not least, the final question in most interviews. Do you have any questions for us? In Japanese, 最後に何か質問はありますか? This is what we call a reverse question, 逆質問 in Japanese. It's your turn to ask. Now, what's the point of this question? The company wants to know if you are genuinely interested in them and this position. So, what's a bad answer? Saying, no, I don't have any questions. Some people think that saying, I've already researched everything about your company sounds impressive, but actually it's not a good move. No matter how much you research, there is always something you can ask. In fact, the more research you've done, the more specific your questions can be. And that's what makes you stand out. Here's an example of strong question. From your website, I noticed that your company differentiates itself from competitors through how does the position I'm applying for contribute to that strategy? That kind of question shows that you've done your homework and that you are already thinking about how you can add value to the team. Alright, so in this video, we went through some of the most common interview questions in Japan, along with bad answers to avoid and tips on how to answer them better. By staying away from these energy answers, you can avoid giving a bad impression and greatly increase your chances of passing the interview. I'm offering a free one-on-one consultation, so feel free to check the link in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.